Have you ever watched a horse galloping at full speed without knowing where it's going? Now, imagine someone riding that horse, clutching the reins, eyes wide, heart pounding, and when asked, "Where are you headed?" they can only reply, "I don't know, ask the horse." Funny, isn't it? But if we're honest, that rider is us, every single day rushing through one task to the next, one notification after another, deadlines, messages, expectations. 1,000 invisible strings pulling us in every direction. And somewhere along the way, we forget to ask the most important question. Why? Why am I chasing this? Who told me I had to? What happens if I do? Most people live like this, caught in a storm of shoulds. I should be more successful. I should be happier. I should have figured it out by now. A constant whisper in the mind, keep going, don't stop, you'll fall behind. But here's a secret few ever realize. The one thing more powerful than speed is the wisdom to stop. Not stop forever, not quit life, but pause long enough to see where you are. Long enough to hear what your heart's been trying to tell you all along. Long enough to remember you were never meant to be a machine. In the teachings of the Buddha, this isn't just poetic advice, it's a spiritual art form. The art of stopping. The art of seeing clearly. Two deceptively simple acts that hold the power to transform the way you move through the world. Let's try something right now. Wherever you are, listening, watching. Close your eyes, breathe in slowly, and hold it. Now let it go like a thread you've been gripping too tightly. Notice what that feels like. That tiny, weightless moment. The world didn't end, nothing exploded, and for just a breath you stopped running. In this world obsessed with productivity, with doing more, with being everywhere at once, stopping is an act of rebellion. And it's the only doorway to truly seeing. Because here's what they don't tell you. You can't see the mountain when you're sprinting up it. You can't hear truth when your mind is 1,000 miles ahead of your body. And you'll never know peace if you keep chasing it like another task on your endless to-do list. Some of the wisest people who ever lived weren't the ones who accumulated the most, achieved the fastest, or shouted the loudest. They were the ones who learned to pause, to sit, to breathe, and in that silence to see the flicker of joy in a child's laugh, to see the way your own thoughts chain you to invisible prisons, to see that sometimes what you were chasing wasn't worth the price you were paying. This isn't about retreating to a mountaintop. It's about changing how you move through your ordinary, complicated, beautiful, difficult life. It's about learning the forgotten skill of stopping, not because you're weak, but because you're finally wise enough to realize that peace doesn't wait for you at the finish line. It's already here, but you'll only find it if you slow down long enough to notice. And that's what this journey is about. Not just calming your mind, not just escaping stress, but rediscovering the simple, ancient art of stopping so you can finally start living with eyes wide open. A way of being where you don't just exist, you actually see. See your life, see your mind, see the silent stories you've been telling yourself for years, and maybe for the first time have the courage to let them go. So here's your invitation, not to change everything at once, not to renounce your job, your family, or your dreams, but to take one step inward, to discover what happens when you stop, and to experience what's been waiting for you just beneath the noise. Stay with me, because what comes next might just be the thing your heart's been quietly begging for. What if I told you, the greatest wisdom isn't found in doing more but in doing nothing, not the empty kind of nothing, not zoning out in front of a screen, not numbing yourself with distractions. I'm talking about the profound, ancient, intentional act of stopping. In the language of the Buddha, there's a word for this, Samatha. It means calm abiding, a deep, steady quiet that settles the restless waves of the mind. And here's the secret most people never realize. Before you can see clearly, before insight can arise, before your heart can heal, you have to stop moving long enough for the dust to settle. Imagine a glass of muddy water. If you keep shaking it, the dirt never clears. But set it down, leave it undisturbed, and slowly the water becomes clear. Not because you forced it, not because you made it happen, but because you allowed stillness to do its quiet work. Your mind is no different. Most of us are so used to chasing achievements, approval, certainty, that we don't realize how much noise we're carrying inside. We tell ourselves, "I'll rest when I'm done. I'll slow down when things are easier. I'll be peaceful once everything is perfect." But life never lines up that way. There's always another thing, another storm, another demand. The Buddha saw this. He knew the endless chase would wear us down. So he offered a path not of escape, but of return. Return to this moment, to this breath, to this quiet. Samatha isn't about suppressing your thoughts. It's not about becoming a blank, emotionless stone. It's about gently, patiently, setting down the burdens you didn't realize you were carrying. Letting the tension in your shoulders drop. Letting the sharp edge of your thoughts soften. Letting the endless stories in your head lose their grip, one by one. And here's where the power lies. In that stillness, something extraordinary happens. You begin to see. See how many of your problems are problems of perception. See how much of your suffering comes not from life itself, but from the way you resist it. See the stories you've been telling yourself about who you are and who you have to be. And in that seeing, a kind of freedom blooms. The Buddha once said, "Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace." Samatha is like that one word. It's not flashy. It won't win applause, but it brings peace. And here's the thing, it's not reserved for monks in monasteries. You don't need a mountain or a temple or a perfect life. You just need a moment, right here, right now, to sit, to breathe, to allow. You might start by simply noticing your breath, in and out, not controlling it, not judging it, just witnessing. At first, your mind will fight back. It'll tell you there are more important things to do, that you're wasting time, that you're bad at this. But stay with it. Because with every breath you return to, you reclaim a little piece of yourself. And slowly, the muddy waters begin to clear. You might notice the tension in your jaw you didn't know was there. The endless to-do list playing on a loop. The ache in your chest you've been trying to outrun. And in that noticing, you realize you are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are not the restless current. You are the sky that holds it all. Samatha teaches us to stop being the storm and start becoming the sky. Because from that calm, steady place, you can finally begin to see. Not with the eyes of fear or craving, but with the eyes of clarity. And clarity is power. Power to choose differently. Power to step out of old patterns. Power to respond, not react. This is the first step. Not the last, not the grand insight, but the quiet foundation upon which everything else is built. You don't need to be perfect at it. You just need to begin. Because in a world addicted to speed, your calm presence is an act of silent, revolutionary courage. So tonight, before you fall into bed, before you reach for your phone, before you disappear into another stream of noise, pause, sit, breathe. Feel the ancient wisdom of stopping move through you. And watch as something in you quietly remembers the person you were before the rush began. Once you've learned to stop, something remarkable happens. It's as if, in the space you've cleared, the world begins to reveal itself in ways you'd long forgotten to notice. The flicker of light on leaves, the weight of a single breath, the subtle ache behind a thought. And this is where the real journey begins. In Buddhism, this deep, penetrating awareness is called Vipassana, the art of seeing. But not just seeing with the eyes, not merely observing the surface of things. It's about perceiving reality as it truly is, beneath the layers of stories, assumptions, and habits we've built around it. Most of us don't realize how blind we've become. Not because we lack eyes, but because we're always looking through the lens of me, mine, and should. We don't see a sunset, we see whether it makes a good photo. We don't hear a conversation, we hear how it affects our image. We don't feel a moment, we measure it against what we expected. And so, reality gets buried under layers of interpretation. The Buddha taught, when you see, just see. When you hear, just hear. At first, it sounds almost too simple, but within that simplicity lies a doorway to liberation. Vipassana means observing the nature of experience without clinging, without judgment, without resistance. It's watching a thought rise, and knowing it's just a thought, not a command, not a truth, not a definition of who you are. It's feeling an emotion surge through your chest, and instead of drowning in it or pushing it away, you notice its shape, its texture, its coming and going. It's watching your body ache or your mind race and realizing, this too is part of the human experience. Vipassana isn't about suppressing what arises. It's about learning to witness it as it is, to see impermanence at work in every flicker of sensation, to notice how no thought, no feeling, no situation lasts forever. And in that seeing, something shifts. Your grip on certainty softens. Your need to control lightens. Your compulsive reactivity fades. You begin to understand, not intellectually but viscerally, that everything you cling to, every fear, every hope, every label is like a cloud passing through an endless sky. And you, my friend, you are the sky. The practice of Vipassana transforms suffering, not by erasing pain but by revealing its nature. You notice how craving feels in the body, how clinging tightens the chest, how aversion creates a knot in the stomach, how worry feels like a weight pressing down on the ribs. And as you notice, you begin to loosen the threads, not because someone told you to, not because a book promised enlightenment, but because in the clear, honest seeing, wisdom blooms naturally. You realize, I don't have to carry this. You realize, this too shall pass. And you realize, I am more than what I feel. The beauty of this practice is that it requires no special equipment, no elaborate rituals, no perfect conditions. Your life itself is the practice. Every sound you hear, every thought you chase, every sensation that ripples through you is a chance to see. In joy, see the rising and passing. In sorrow, see the rising and passing. In boredom, in desire, in fear, in peace, see the rising and passing. And slowly, the deep attachments loosen. The clinging loses its grip. The heart softens, not because you force it, but because in the face of such clear seeing, there's nothing left to hold on to. And what's left is freedom. This is why the old masters say, enlightenment isn't something you gain. It's what remains when there's nothing left to cling to. Vipassana is the art of remembering that, of learning to trust the natural intelligence of awareness itself. You don't need to figure it all out. You don't need to fix yourself before you begin. You just need to stop. And then see clearly, see kindly, see what has always been waiting for you just beneath the noise. And when you do, the world, once heavy with tension and demand, begins to shimmer with a quiet grace. Not perfect, not always easy, but undeniably alive. Some stories, they linger long after the last word is spoken. They reach across centuries, whispering truths our modern hearts still need to hear. This is one of those stories. In ancient India, at a time when forests were thick with danger and the roads between villages were haunted by the unknown, there lived a man named Angulimala. His name means garland of fingers. And yes, it's as terrible as it sounds. He was feared across the land, a ruthless bandit who, driven by rage and madness, murdered travelers and wore their severed fingers strung around his neck like a necklace of death. To most, he was a monster, a lost cause, a life too far gone to redeem. But the Buddha saw something else. One morning, as Angulimala roamed the forest, hunting for his next victim, word reached him that the Buddha was nearby. Curious, perhaps drawn by something deeper than he understood, Angulimala set out to confront this strange, holy man. As he approached, something strange happened. The Buddha did not run. He walked slowly, peacefully along the path, his presence unshaken by the bandit's approach. Infuriated, Angulimala called out, "Stop, monk!" But the Buddha, without breaking stride, replied, "I have stopped, Angulimala. It is you who have not stopped." The words struck Angulimala like a blow, not because they were loud, but because they were true. In that instant, something within him cracked open. A lifetime of rage, blood, and torment fell silent. What did it mean? The Buddha had stopped not his feet but his endless running after desire, after fear, after illusion. Angulimala, for all his violence, had been running his entire life, chasing validation, revenge, a sense of control in a world that felt indifferent. And now, faced with a man who radiated stillness, he realized his own exhaustion, his endless thirst, his unbearable suffering. In that moment of clarity, Angulimala did something no one expected. He dropped his weapons. He fell to his knees, and he begged the Buddha to teach him. The villagers were furious. They demanded blood for blood, justice for justice. But the Buddha, in his infinite compassion, saw what they could not, that even a heart as dark as Angulimala's could remember the light. He brought him into the Sangha, the community of monks, and there, Angulimala dedicated himself to the path of awakening. It wasn't easy. His past haunted him. The villagers spat at him. The memories of what he'd done clung to him like a shadow. But over time, through deep meditation, through the practice of Samatha and Vipassana, through stopping and seeing, Angulimala's heart changed. His anger softened. His mind cleared. And in the stillness of his practice, he came to understand a truth most of us run from, that no one is beyond redemption, that even the deepest wounds can heal, that even the darkest night eventually surrenders to dawn. Angulimala's story reminds us of something vital. We too wear garlands of our own making, not of severed fingers but of old grudges, of regrets, of mistakes, of stories we tell ourselves about who we are and who we can never be. And we carry them like chains, believing them permanent. But the path is always waiting. The moment to stop is always now. The ability to see clearly, to lay down the weapons of blame, of shame, of bitterness, exists within each of us. No matter what we've done, no matter how long we've wandered lost, the Buddha did not see Angulimala as a monster. He saw him as a man who had forgotten his own true nature. And perhaps we too have moments like that. Moments when we forget who we are beyond the noise, beyond the anger, beyond the craving. But just as Angulimala found his way back, so can we. All it takes is a willingness to stop, to see, and to remember. In the next part of our journey, we'll explore the traps we build inside our own minds, the habits of thought and belief that keep us running in circles. But for now, let the story of Angulimala linger in your heart, not as a myth, but as a promise, that no matter how far you've strayed, the path is never lost. It's right here, beneath your feet, waiting. Some of the heaviest chains we carry aren't made of iron. They're forged in words, 2 words to be exact, 2 simple, ordinary words that quietly shape our lives without us even noticing. Could and should. They might sound harmless, but left unchecked, they rule us. And if we wish to find the kind of inner freedom the Buddha spoke of, the freedom Angulimala discovered in that silent moment on the forest path, we must learn to see these words for what they truly are. Could, it's a word of possibility, of potential, of options unfolding like petals on a flower. You could change jobs, you could forgive someone, you could wake up tomorrow and start over. Could is open, curious, expansive. It leaves space for movement, for grace, for becoming. But then comes should. And should is a tyrant. You should be thinner. You should have accomplished more by now. You shouldn't feel this way. You should be a better partner, a better parent, a better Buddhist. Should isn't possibility. It's obligation. It's pressure. It's a mental cage disguised as wisdom. And the tragedy is most of us can't tell the difference. The Buddha spoke often of dukkha, the unease, the dissatisfaction, the suffering that clings to us like mist. And one of its subtlest, most persistent forms is the war between what is and what we believe should be. We wake each day with invisible scripts in our heads, crafted by culture, family, old wounds, and unexamined expectations. A good person should do this. A successful person should be that. A spiritual person should never feel anger. And every time reality refuses to fit those scripts, we suffer. We fight against what is. We chase what isn't. And in doing so, we lose the present moment. We trade peace for perfection, and it's a terrible bargain. But here's the secret. Once you notice the shoulds, you start to see the hidden coulds beneath them. I should meditate more. Pause. Could you? Yes. And if you don't today, what happens? The sky won't fall. The earth won't split open. Life continues. I should be over this heartbreak by now. Pause. Could you let yourself feel it a little longer? Could you honor the depth of your grief without rushing it away? I should have figured out my purpose already. Pause. Could you be okay with not knowing for now? Could you trust that the path reveals itself, not through force but through quiet persistence? You see, true freedom isn't about having no responsibilities. It's about choosing which ones you carry. It's about replacing should with conscious could, shifting from obligation to opportunity, from self-judgment to self-compassion. The Buddha's path was never about perfection. He spoke of skillful means, of choosing actions that reduce suffering, increase clarity, and nourish peace. Not because you should, but because you could. And in doing so, you step out of the endless cycle of craving and aversion. You stop chasing a version of yourself that never truly existed. You meet yourself here, now, as you are. And you realize it's enough. Angulimala didn't become a monk because he should. He did it because, in a moment of breathtaking clarity, he saw that he could. He laid down his weapons, not out of guilt, but out of freedom. Because for the first time in his life, he saw another way. And so can you. Right now, this very breath, you could pause, you could let go, you could start again. And maybe that's all it's ever asked of us. So now you know. You've seen how simple words shape entire lives, how stopping can open a hidden doorway within you, how seeing can strip away illusions. But philosophy alone isn't enough. Wisdom without practice is like a lantern with no flame. And so, we arrive here where the rubber meets the road, where the teachings leave the ancient scrolls and step into your day, into your breath, into the quiet spaces between thoughts. Because this path was always meant to be walked, not just admired. You might be wondering, how do I begin? Truth is, you already have. Every moment you paused in this journey, even just to notice your own reactions, was practice. But let's make it tangible. Let's give you tools you can carry into your ordinary, sacred life. Practice 1. The sacred stop. At any moment in traffic, in a tense meeting, while washing dishes, you can practice stopping. Not dramatically, not theatrically. Just pause, feel your feet on the ground, notice your breath, observe the texture of the moment. No need to fix anything, no need to do anything. The Buddha called this Samatha, calming the waters of the mind so that its depths can be seen. In that pause, your world softens, the war within eases, and often that's all it takes to choose differently. Practice 2. Seeing clearly. Next time an emotion grips you, anger, envy, sorrow, don't rush to banish it. Turn toward it, name it, feel its texture in your body. Notice the stories it drags behind it. Then ask yourself gently, is this permanent, is it mine, or is it just passing through? This is Vipassana insight. It's not about escaping your feelings. It's about witnessing them so clearly they no longer control you. As you practice this, the need to label experiences as good or bad softens. You begin to see them as weather passing clouds in an endless sky. Practice 3. From should to could. When you catch yourself using I should, pause. Replace it with I could. Feel the difference in your chest. Notice how one constricts, the other expands. This small, daily shift rewires your inner world. It turns life from a burden into a playground of choices. And choice is freedom. The benefits. You might wonder, why bother? What do I actually gain from this? Fair question. The benefits aren't always flashy. They don't arrive with neon signs or social media applause, but they're profound. Clarity. Your mind, once a crowded market, becomes a quiet temple. Thoughts untangle. Decisions simplify. Resilience. You stop being at the mercy of every emotion, every trigger. Storms still come, but you learn to watch them without being swept away. Presence. Life stops rushing past you. Small moments, a child's laughter, rain on your window, the warmth of a cup of tea, become sacred again. Compassion. As you untangle your own suffering, you soften toward others. You realize everyone's carrying invisible battles, and in that, the world feels less lonely. Freedom, not the kind sold in commercials. The kind that arises when nothing inside you demands to be different than it is. It's a subtle revolution, the quietest kind of rebellion, and it begins here. Now, in this breath, you don't need a monastery, you don't need perfect conditions. You don't need to fix yourself first. You just need a little willingness to stop, to see, to soften. And in doing so, you remember what you already are, whole, unbroken, free. Now, as our journey draws near its close, there's one last truth worth speaking. A wisdom as old as time, yet always new to the one who hears it. That beyond all techniques, beyond all names and forms, lies a silence. A stillness so vast, it contains every possible version of you, every joy, every grief, every question unanswered. And in that stillness, you are home. And here we are, not at an ending, but at a return. Because in truth, every journey, no matter how vast, leads back to the place it began, to the breath, to this moment, to you. We've walked together through ancient forests of thought. We've met sages, outlaws, and the voices inside our own heads. We've learned to stop, not to escape life, but to meet it fully. We've learned to see, not through the stories we've inherited, but through the unfiltered light of awareness. And we've tasted the quiet kind of freedom, the one no one can give you because it was never lost. I want you to remember something. The Buddha didn't offer dogma. He offered tools, not promises of escape, but practices of awakening. He knew what we forget so easily in a world addicted to noise, that sometimes salvation isn't something you chase. It's what arrives when you finally stop running, and when you see clearly with the eyes of a heart unburdened. Every leaf, every sorrow, every stranger's face becomes a teaching. If even one moment in this journey made you pause, made you soften, made you remember yourself, then something beautiful has already begun. And now you carry this flame, a quiet, steady light in a restless world. You don't have to change your name. You don't have to leave your job, shave your head, or move to a cave in the mountains. You just need to remember that in any ordinary moment you can stop, you can see, you can choose. And in that lies peace. If this journey spoke to you, if it stirred something ancient in your bones, don't let it end here. Practice stopping, practice seeing, practice choosing the kinder thought, the softer word, the deeper breath. And if you feel called, walk this path with others, share this video, leave a comment, tell me your story, not for algorithms, not for applause, but because the world needs people who have learned to see. And you, my friend, are one of them. Thank you for walking this road with me. May your days be light. May your nights be restful. And may you always remember the art of stopping to see clearly lives within you. I'll see you on the next path.